So you should only hear. You can only hear me.
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet. So it's not live.
Yeah.
But there's a laptop there and team list and stuff like that if you want live stats. So drag that table
Okay.
over this way.
Yeah.
So
Frols knows what he's doing, doesn't
Frols,
he?
yeah, he's all over it. Yep.
Right.
So
At
sweet.
least one of us knows what we're doing.
I've done it with robes and just made it up as we went. So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Okay. Sweet. We'll do some research.
So he shouldn't be far away, but yeah, use that. I'll let these guys. Except your audio stuff's on. So if you want live stats and the team sheets and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you can't see numbers quickly as a point of reference.
Oh, okay. Write it down. Write it down. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then you just ask a question. Alright. Yeah. October's when the game starts. Pre-season starts September. Yeah, so not far away. Girls will start coming in pretty soon. To train. Oh, yeah. Last year? Oh, yeah. It's full on. I guess because there were so many games within a short space of time. So usually it's a 6-month season and it's not like that. Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah. And there were some times when we had 2 games in a week at home, which is like crazy. Did you enjoy it? Yeah. Good experience. Yeah, well, that's right. Get to go to the basketball, get paid, that's right. Yep. Cool. Yeah, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah. Now you're getting technical. Yeah. Oh, I lied. Thought they were alright. What do you mean, like? Yeah, right. Yeah. What do they give you? They chop up the highlights for you, or you have to do it all? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Richard. Pecos. Cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Well, that's how they do all the stats now. They do it on the fly. Hey.
Sorry, I forgot I had training.
It's alright.
Kids to train. So we're just gonna. It's televised, so we don't have to talk every play.
Yeah.
I learned that quick. I thought I was doing radio for one game, and I went, "What the fuck am I doing?" It's televised. And they've got the score on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So we just have to talk about what we see.
Okay.
If anything that you think, oh, they should be doing this or should be doing that.
You run it right, and then you.
No, you run it.
Welcome to the.
Bronwyn's head coach. Yep.
I actually. I've not been to one game. I have no idea what's going on.
All right. You right? Right, Mia? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Townsville Basketball Stadium and tonight's game, the Townsville Flames versus the Brisbane Capitals. We welcome Darcy Garvin back to the team, who was sorely missed last weekend. And we have also with us tonight Mia Murray commentating.
Good evening.
Welcome aboard, Mia.
Thank
we'll
you.
Look forward to your expert comments, and we're about to get the game underway. Nice fast break there by Brisbane. Really quick out the blocks. You might think that was a set play by their fantastic coach in Bronwyn Marshall. In this game, I would expect Townsville to, as they have every other week, to come out of this offence with a bit of full court pressure. It's helped them a lot in the last few games, Mia. I think you might know what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I know that the Flames, one of their biggest strengths is their defensive pressure, and it feeds a lot into their offence.
As we talk about that, that's got them the steal and another shot attempt by Darcy. Great rebound by Mila Goodchild, and we're talking about her offensive rebounding through the last few weeks. She's brilliant at crashing the boards.
Yeah, making a contest of every possession, which is a really great thing to have as a guard.
Now you have to apologise, I haven't got the names in front of me, but number 3 has just scored really aggressively, and that is Akila Bethel. Okay, Michaela Cox scoping the floor out ahead. She's conducting the team well, and nice screen by Darcy. You could see that coming a mile off. Feed to Darcy. Might be still a little jet lag there, missing that, but don't expect that to last long.
Darcy loves a good punch screen in the open court, so it's up to the defenders to call that screen coming.
And strong post move there, and lucky to get the foul and made the basket. So makes up for the first miss. She'll head to the line for the bonus.
Sure, Darcy's excited to be back for the Flames. She's just been had wonderful international experience, and she'll be playing at that next level.
Yeah, from all reports, she did very well.
Taking her opportunities if they come, good old Darcy. So really happy for her.
Right, there's the Townsville pressure as we talked about. Knowing Bronwyn Marshall, she'll have addressed this, but it's whether the team can handle it or not. She looks really aggressive, Bethel.
Yeah, I think double machine, as Mike St. Maurice has described her as in the form guide. So we'll be watching her with interest.
Yeah, she's got good power and ball handling ability, so she can play a bit of inside and outside by the looks of that. Nice penetration by Mila. And another basket in the post there. Nice feed by Mila Goodchild into Lisa Brennan. And she makes the bucket. We'll go to the line for another bonus.
The Capitals look like they're having a little bit of trouble defending the pick and roll at the moment, so I'm sure that the Flames are going to expose them on that until they make adjustments.
Yeah, and I think both Michaela and Mila Goodchild will look to penetrate aggressively, so any help should result in a pass to the bigs. And sadly, I'm going to have to agree with that one. Wasn't any hands in there, but there was a bit of body contact, so nice aggressive drive to the bucket there.
Amy Lewis going to a trademark baseline drive, obviously a veteran of the league and a brilliant player in the WNBL for years.
That's right, had a stint up here if I recall. She makes the basket to make it 7-5. Really, really nice shooting form on that free throw. Ainsley Walsh kicks it across. She had a really good baseline drive there, but patience allowed her to kick it out. Darcy throws up a bit of a brick there. Got away with a little travel there, but we'll We'll accept a brick or two of Darcy just because she's a quality player.
She's thrown up the hand to apologise though, so it's all okay, isn't it, once you apologise to the coach?
And again, Ainsley Walsh, I'm watching from up here and I have the advantage, but if she rips that baseline, there is absolutely no help. So we'll see if the player's gotten onto that. And there's that Townsville full court pressure with a lazy pass and another steal. It's worked well for them for the whole season, so I don't see Mike dropping it anytime soon. Great screen by Lisa, a little slow to roll out of it, because you could really see Michaela Cox looking for her on that, but Brisbane blocking out very well.
They've obviously realised that's what they're going to have to do to keep in this game, keep Townsville off the boards.
Absolutely. And Darcy goes strong for another two. Down the other end, I'm watching Victoria Aldred. She's really setting good screens and giving a post target. They haven't cottoned onto that yet, Brisbane, but if they do, they'll get a couple of cheap buckets out of that.
She is, Victoria. She's a strong body and she uses her size well, so if they can look to go inside to her a little bit more, and they'll make more of a contest of it.
Great pass. Too bad that shot missed, but Lisa there to pick up the boards and misses that as well.
Townsville are certainly off to the races once they get a steal or a rebound, so Brisbane are going to have to be really mindful of the types of shots that they take and obviously look after the basketball a bit better.
Both teams right now are shooting horribly. So hopefully that's been a bit of a consistency for Townsville for the last few weeks. They start ordinary and finish well, so just like that. A few more bricks and we can build a couple of houses.
These Townsville hoops should be like hula hoops, shouldn't they? I thought that's what they were like.
Should be, but we always seem to have a slow start as Brisbane score another basket and go to get the bonus. So we'll see the opportunity to score another point and level it up as Bronwyn Marshall calls a timeout. All right, so a little bit about Darcy. She's gone away with the national team now. Do you have any idea of her numbers, her stats, anything that she did away or anything that she did well?
Yeah, look, Darcy went away. I don't think she was really expecting to play a lot. However, the Opal's lack of size when they're going into that tournament, I think everyone knew more than Darcy that she was actually going to hit the floor quite a bit. So I think she was surprised with how much she actually played. From all reports, she went really well. I've chatted to her. She really enjoyed the experience, and she had a couple of good standout games. So, I'm sure that with the more and more experience that Darcy gets against tougher opposition, she's going to do well. So, she said there was, a lot of size, particularly the Chinese team. They had some really big girls in that team. So, I think for Darcy now, it's about transitioning to that 4 spot and, keep increasing her bulk to make sure that she can battle down low with them. But, her asset is her outside shooting game, and she reads the game quite well defensively as well. Yeah,
I was just going to say her size and her ability to shoot. There is no doubt she has a future with the Opals, especially when you look at some of the big players in that squad now that are getting a bit older and won't be too far off retirement. As we knock in another basket for Brisbane and the scores are now level. Oh, not a good pass by Makawa there. Aggressive to the hoop, and there's that basket that she's been looking for, taking it 11 to 9.
Be interesting to see how Townsville handled this pressure. It looks like Brisbane Capitals out of that timeout have upped the ante. They're in the lanes a little bit more, and they've already forced a turnover.
Yeah, and when you're setting screens, you've got to make contact. Well, there was no contact there, so it caused the defence no grief at all. So Victoria almost travels but gets away with it, makes a great pass, but another missed shot. I'd really like to see the shooting percentages. It's probably not the best for either team right now.
As you said, there's some absolute bunnies being missed at the moment. It's nothing worse than doing all the hard yards and then missing an easy one at the end. Another turnover.
And that's a frustration foul by Darcy there. And again, the pass was probably too direct to her, like with her size, and she's got a player like Aldred half front. Now you need to put it over the top there. So that's a bit of a sloppy pass there by Ainsley. And Darcy follows up with a sloppy foul.
Yeah, Darcy's athletic enough to go and get the ball. I'd chuck it up to the bigs.
It's another quick foul on Darcy. I would suspect that Mike might get her out pretty quickly now. As we see Rebecca Vanderjack sub in. We also have one of the young Carey girls on the floor. Won't be long before she's shooting threes. Very, very consistently knocking them down this year, the two Carey sisters.
Yeah, I play a little bit of A grade midweek with Harriet, and she's certainly got a bit of grunt about her, and coached her at the under-18 nationals earlier this year. She had a great campaign and was one of our most consistent players. So, you know, a little bit more work on her game off the court. I'm sure she'll thrive in this Flames program.
Okay, we've got a foul here called on Eldred, bumping the cutter or being a little bit physical there.
Not giving the Flames anything easy, the Capitals, and I'm sure that was part of their strategy to take them out of their offense a little bit.
And this should be a shot from McKay. No, she goes into the post on Darcy. Again, just a little short. Michaela King has also subbed in, and she looks to be a very strong post player. Certainly will cause Rebecca Vanderjack grief. But Darcy puts up another shot, and that one's short too. Darcy's shaking her head. It's not going to be long before they start to roll for her.
No, just got to keep going, keep shooting it, they'll fall.
Neil, a good child is coming back, has come back on the floor. And there is the first three attempt, no good. Good keeping it alive by Darcy, and another short shot. We could probably forgive Darcy at the moment for all the travel she's done, and she's probably still got a bit of international food through her system and flights and all that, but I wouldn't expect it to last long.
No, she's doing the effort plays at least, giving her team second opportunities on the offensive rebounds. When things aren't quite going your way on the shooting end, you've got to do the 1%ers.
Well, there's another foul there on Bethel, so the coaches are being courageous here and leaving them all out on the floor, so it's good to see that the coaches have a bit of faith. Let's just hope these players don't pick up extra foul. As we say that, there's a nice screen here. Darcy gets the ball. Carey for an aggressive drive, and what should be an easy layup is not. Woodford drives hard to the rim. You know, they've got a good three players there in Bethel, Aldred and Woodford. Something for Townsville to deal with, and as I say that, there is the shot Darcy wants.
Great high-low action as well. I'm sure that's what the Flames are looking for. Come off that on ball, make the early extra pass, and Darcy's doing well to seal underneath.
Yeah, and I bet Townsville's not used to being down 19-11 in the first quarter, so a bit of a shock to the system, but they, as usual, will wake up. And Michaela is struggling at the moment too, so we've got some stats over here on the computer, so I'm sure if we have a look at them.
I think that's Michaela's first shot of the game actually, so she'll be looking to get involved a little bit more and hopefully kick the Flames in the guts a bit.
Yeah, that's really unusual for Michaela not to be scoring. I'd love to see her start hitting the penetrating the lanes and getting a few shots up. And our stats are reacting very, very slowly here. So, okay, so Townsville is shooting a massive 22%, which is what I figured was extremely low for them. And Brisbane now up to 53%, so hence the difference in the scores. As I said, that's sort of been a consistency for Townsville at the moment, at this end of the season so far. So something they're going to have to fix is those low shooting percentages.
I actually think the Flames are shooting the right shots. They're getting the shots that they want. You know, they're penetrating at will. They're just going to make them. It's a little bit of poise under the basket, finishing, and the shooters having the confidence to just step up and make those outside shots. They'll come.
Well, the layups also, they've really struggled with them. Geez, it's very dangerous, that press, when they all come up the floor like that. Very, very dangerous, as we see Ashanti Plummer get an easy shot. Now, if the back of that press comes up to help at the centre, we've got to get the opposite side down. And that wasn't happening there. And all it takes is a player to spot that thing over the top, and that's what you end up with.
That's right. You get a good player that can see the floor pretty well, and they make that long pass over the top. You know, in a press, if you're up the front of it and the ball goes over your head, you've got to get back.
Rebecca Vanderjack anticipates a backdoor cut, but unfortunately Michaela didn't see it that way. We're looking at 22-13 with 20 seconds to go, and Mike will take Darcy out so she doesn't risk that extra foul. Smart coaching right there.
Capitals are going to be playing in the lanes. Those back cuts will be on. It's just a matter of you know, that communication between players. Make sure they've got a link. They can see that the pass is going to come.
As Brisbane turn over, there's 4 seconds to go, so we can see how quickly we can get the ball up the floor and get a shot up. Michaela should push it, have her eyes up, and she doesn't get it off in time. That leaves us at a quarter-time score at 22-13. Statistically, what have we got? We are still shooting 22%, so that's very, very poor. And scorers, our best scorers at the moment. Sorry, I can't see it.
Darcy's got 8. Next scorer is Mila with 3.
All right, so that tells the story in itself. So the shooting percentage is very, very woeful for Townsville. Brisbane have come prepared for that press. If Townsville continue to press like that, they need to make sure they got help in the back of the thing. Now, with a score blowout like that, I'd actually like to see them change it up to maybe dropping back to a zone or something. Let's see if Brisbane can beat them outside, because Brisbane are certainly getting to the basket far too easy. And offensively, I'd love to see a bit more of that screen action. I think the screen pick and roll stuff was working early for Townsville, and they seem to have gone away from that.
Yeah, look, I know that Mike St. Maurice does actually have a lot of defensive change-ups in his arsenal, and you know, I think they'll probably maybe even chuck in a little bit of a zone, try and clog up that keyway a little bit, because they are struggling to contain the penetration. Brisbane aren't hitting too much from the outside, so they're probably going to force them outside a little bit now.
Well, they've also got Amy Lewis, who's not really looking to shoot. Like, I'm watching her bring the ball up aggressively, but she's not looking to penetrate or score. So if she starts to liven up, look out. Now, for us, I would expect Michaela Cox to start looking to score, Goodchild to start looking to score. And again, the on-ball screen stuff's going to give them penetration opportunity and the bigs a chance to roll.
Absolutely. And I guess when you've got a player like Darcy Gartman coming back in the lineup, focus goes back to her. Mila and Michaela have been fantastic in Darcy's absence. They've really stepped up the scoring load and they've had brilliant weekends. You put a five-man in there who's fairly commanding in there, rightfully so. You should be getting her the ball, but that doesn't mean that you should not play with the same amount of confidence. So if they can combine the two, I'm sure they'll be right.
Yeah, Brisbane have been ultra aggressive on that defence, and Michaela had a great chance to feed Darcy then, but missed her. And they're really being aggressive here. And that's credit to their coach, Bronwyn Marshall, who is an ex-Olympian and a WNBL coach. So if you think they're not prepared, you're kidding. So they're really giving them a bit of grief.
Mick put the ball to the floor really strong there, is what we love to see. Preferred left-hand drive. If she can combine her strong drives with her outside shooting, that'll be great for the Flames.
A lot of contact there, and that was a silly foul. So looked like to be in the zone there, as we discussed, and worked for them, but they didn't block out. Twice Hustle Plays got the ball back for Brisbane, and that one there resulted in a foul. But if they're going to play that zone, they've got to keep them off the boards.
Absolutely.
There's that rip drive I'm talking about, but we still can't make a basket. Someone's put a lid on that thing. There's some Glad wrap or something on it.
Miller would be disappointed missing that. But that, as you said, you don't box out in the zone. You've actually got to actively go and find a player because you're not matched up to anyone. But if Brisbane will continue to shoot like that, you've got to make sure you clean up the glass and hopefully make them pay at the other end.
Yeah, Townsville aren't quite with it, we'll say right now. Most coaches I know would call a timeout and try and persuade their players to play a little more aggressively and not turn it over as much. So I'm sure that might be bubbling away somewhere.
Some of the turnovers have been as a result of pushing the ball up the floor too. So, I don't think they're trying to be too cute with their passes. It's just a little bit off the mark.
As we see another strong penetrating move there by Woodford, and she's something to deal with. She's really going to work there, and unfortunately Michaela Cox gets a foul for tripping her up there.
As an offensive player, if you break the middle of a zone, things generally look to open up, so Flames will need to make sure they keep the ball out of the middle of the floor.
As she makes both, and it gives them a 9-point lead with 8 minutes to go. There you go, that's the shot we're looking for. Someone to nail it from outside as Mila Goodchild makes her first three for the game.
Hopefully the floodgates open from now on in for the Flames.
As Bethel sends a three and gets fouled. Goodchild again with a foul, and
I think that's her third.
Yeah, a couple of little mistakes coming out, and definitely see her come out. Ainsley Walsh come back on the field.
I like the effort from Mila chasing down a three-point shooter like that. However, haven't knocked down many on the Brisbane end, so probably didn't need to close out that aggressively.
Yeah, Brisbane look really sharp. They move that ball well. They don't muck around with it, and they take their opportunity. So if you're not ready to roll defensively, you're going to be in trouble. And on the flip side, down the other end, they're being ultra aggressive on defence, and that's giving Townsville a bit of grief. Also watching Townsville, there are some really open players, but we seem not to be always seeing them. Nice screen by Carey here, who is wide open, and again, we've missed her. Darcy takes that shot, and you know, young Carey gets a rebound, but that initial screen and roll, she was open on the roll, and then when it came to Darcy, she was open under the basket with no one on her. So the team needs to be a little more alert at that because they're buckets for nothing.
Yeah, Madge did a really good job of creating contact, you know, setting a really good screen and rolling to the basket. You know, her strength is probably more so under the basket than outside of the three-point line. So, yeah, just a little bit more of a connection between the bigs. But, you know, Darcy's a great three-point shooter.
Yes, but Magellan didn't like the fact she was missing, went and got the rebounds herself and scored. So we've got a 6-point spread right now. Townsville in that zone again. Brisbane working it around. They'll look to reverse the ball. They'll look for a flash somewhere here. Penetration goes up and banks it.
Little penetration, it's killing the Flames.
Bethel can clearly play. You know, she's got some skills about her. Strong, good ball handler, gets after it on defence. Seen her dive on the floor a few times. She hangs around. She could end up with a WNBL opportunity at a club if some of these other players don't succeed.
We've just gone to your pick and roll, Shane. Madge with a strong screen and didn't make the shot off it, but it got her a rebound. So that's certainly something that's working for the Flames. I'm sure we'll see them consolidate that on that more.
And you see Bethel pick up another foul there. What is that on Bethel? Is that her second or third? Second foul. It's time for Michaela Cox to get a bucket, I think. She's got to be close to getting a score for us as Darcy tries to get in the post, but the defence gets the better of it. Here it is. I could feel it coming. I knew she was coming up somewhere.
Mick does such a great job of moving off the ball, and she's relentless at doing that, and she makes great reads and cuts to the basket. So we all know that Michaela Cox can light it up, and she does it really quickly. So
she's Brisbane moving that ball really, really well against the zone. In, out, flash in the middle, kick on the reverse, and then skip it. You're going to have to move on defence, girls. Nice back screen by Darcy there. And there it is, the penetrating move. Great pass by Lisa Brennan. Kicks it out to Magella, who hits the bucket. So close the gap a little there, 5 points. Obviously, Bronwyn Marshall again has not liked the gap closing, so strategically calls a timeout. How are you liking the zone?
The zone from the Flames? Yeah, look, I think it was a great change. I think they needed to do that. I'm not sure whether it was a bit of tiredness kicking in from the Flames and the full court pressure, but I think it was a good change up. However, Brisbane, they've hit a couple of shots now, so they're going to have to be really careful, make sure that they keep Brisbane out of the middle of the keyway. If they keep letting them beat them on middle penetration, it's going to be a long night. And obviously they've gone inside and outside and working well together on offence. So,
well, the zone seems to have slowed the scoring down, and us making a few more shots. I don't know what our percentage is, but we've got to be well above 22% now. So what are we at? If we refresh the screen, sorry ladies and gentlemen, our computer's very slow, but my guess is we'd be up in the low 30s by now, and taking a 5-point difference, 33%, there you go. And Michaela Cox gets her first score. Hopefully that starts to open up a bit more for her too. Not forgetting we've got Mueller on the bench with 3 fouls, so that's another thing they're going to have to compensate for. Brisbane working this ball really, really well, side to side, looking in the middle, and look, there's the open player. That there is Amy Lewis nailing 3 from the base corner. Those low defenders have got to move their butts side to side really, really hard. Okay, and we have the referee is looking for a shot clock reset, I think. Yes, a shot clock reset. Down to 10 seconds. They reset it to 14 and it wasn't controlled. So we'll take it back down to 12 seconds actually. All right, Brisbane in a 1-2-2 of sorts, I think. A really, really wide 1-2-2. If Townsville are going to beat that, they need to punch someone straight into the middle of that thing, draw someone from the back and look for a kick to the weak side. But I don't think we've woken up to that just yet. As you see on the other end, Brisbane really working the ball well, trying to punch it inside. There's a nice little cut and shot by Amy Lewis again.
Brisbane are just playing really free-flowing basketball offensively. They're just making the right reads.
Now, I don't know how the heck Michaela Cox doesn't get a foul on that
She's
drive.
really unlucky on that drive.
Yeah, that was a sort of aggressive play that I love seeing from her. But anyway, she continues on with it. We shoot a shot from the corner and it misses. Brisbane will run it down our throats if we're not careful. And exactly that, but luckily for Townsville, the ball goes out of bounds. All right, let's have a look at Brisbane's defence here. They're changing it up. No, it looks to be a switching. No, I think it's still that 1-2-2. Definitely the 1-2-2. So Townsville got to wake up to that and punch one of the two bigs in the middle. If they do that, you'll have a shooter on the baseline open. You have the baseline big open also.
Read my mind, Shane. If you've got a 1-2-2, there has to be a spare man on the baseline, which we just found.
Exactly. Brisbane are really, really patient with that ball and they look for the right passes. Amy Lewis has really started to hurt. She's hit the last 3 shots and Mike's seen enough, so he's going to take the timeout.
I just watched Amy on that whole possession. She was just so patient on that three-point line. Obviously, three-point shooting is one of her strengths. She's done it for years and she loves a baseline three-point shot. She just hung there until that baseline penetration came and she got into that shooting spot, receiver spot, sorry, I should say, and knocked down that 3.
Yeah, I was surprised in the first quarter at a lack of aggression on the scoring, but she certainly brought it right now. And you can see Brisbane, they're purposely swinging that ball over to one side, trying to punch it through the middle on the baseline, and that weak side player knows it's coming out. So, again, that's what an Olympian has in their brain and has taught that team very well. And you have a couple of capable players, they're going to give you grief. We have a 10-point difference with 3 minutes to go until the half. We'll see what Mike does. Will he stay in the zone or will he come out of it? I'm guessing if they don't make a better effort on closing out that weak side and hustling off the baseline, that they will go back to a man.
Might even be a bit of a change up every possession, nearly, you know, a zone off a make.
Yeah. Good call.
Man off a miss.
Chunk it up a bit, exactly.
It looks like Brisbane are just getting way too comfortable in whatever defence Townsville get themselves into.
And Brisbane have changed theirs up to a standard 2-3 zone. So, again, thinking that Mike's taken a timeout to deal with a 1-2-2, they've changed it up. There it is. Great pass. You could see that. Good ball movement. Pass was a little late for my liking, but still knocked it down.
Great patience from the Flames on that possession.
And as we discussed, they've gone to, we're still in it. We're going back to man now. Have gone back to a man. So Mike changing it up just as much as Bronwyn. As I see Brisbane players calling up, they definitely are junking their defences up. This one's going to be a 2-3 again. And Darcy should get that. I don't know why Darcy didn't get that pass there off Lisa, because that would have been her money. Baseline jumper. As we see it reversed anyway, and we get the baseline jumper on the other side.
Ainsley's lit up a little bit from the perimeter, which I know that she can do. She'll never die wondering.
And there you go, another offensive board to the Brisbane team. We've got to keep them off the boards. They've got a couple of offensive boards here, so if we're asleep, we're going to get hurt.
Great box out by Lisa.
Yeah, she
Sold
might
the
have,
foul a little bit too, I think.
she might have been to acting school a little bit there, but hey, if it works, why not?
Veteran move.
Yeah, she's got a bit of a grin on her face too. So again, Bronwyn using another timeout because they've closed the gap to 4 points. So Townsville starting to warm up a little bit now. Brisbane not enjoying the comeback, and the zone has the change from zone to man, I think, has helped them too.
That's a costly foul as well. It sends Flames all the way down the other end of the court for the free throw. So a few mistakes starting to creep in for the Capitals now, and I'm sure that timeout's just a little bit of a breather for the girls, and they might have to manage the team that way.
Yeah, you can bet Brisbane are really, really wanting to get this one, you know, the first of a double away trip. So if you can get this big scalp on an away court, it's always something to prepare you going into the finals. Now we have 1:48 to go, and I got that feeling again. I think it's Michaela Cox time. I've always loved the way she plays, and you can bet she's starting to think, right, oh, I've got to ramp it up a little bit here. The only time we don't like to see her playing well is when she plays for New Zealand.
Yeah, Mick, she has to be the hardest working player I've ever played with. Extremely fit. She runs up Castle Hill in the middle of the day, and most people either don't do it at all, or they do it early morning and beat the sun. So Mick, works hard off the floor, but while she's on it, she's always working. And as I said, works brilliantly off the ball, and she can light it up, absolutely light it up from outside. So hopefully we see that soon from Mick.
Yeah, they talk about Kiwis having a bit of craziness about them, so running up Castle Hill in the middle of the day certainly says that. So we see Lisa Brennan take a shot. She's in the tall timber, kicks out to Darcy, who rolls it over the front of the rim. I think Darcy may have a little more fatigue than she may let on, you know, all that travel and all those games, but she'll fight through it nonetheless.
They did, I think, coming home, the Opals got caught in some sort of typhoon or something. They got redirected, and the travel day was a little bit longer than what they had hoped. They ended up in Auckland, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, we've all had those delayed flights, rebuilding of engines and completely missed flights. So that's a great screen and roll there, and we see Plummer drop that in for 2 points with no one there. So again, I'd love to see more of that from Townsville. Here we go. So in there, Darcy, I'd like to see more aggressive out of that. Now here's a shot from Michaela. There it is. That's got to go, no? Lisa for a kick out, and now Michaela drives aggressively but gets blocked by Plummer again.
I actually would have liked to see Michaela pull the trigger on that second three-point shot. Everyone's got so much confidence in her to shoot the ball, and that's it. You know, I can't remember who was defending her, but they were at least a metre off.
Yeah. 15 seconds ago, there's a 1 point difference. So Brisbane should use the ball here. You see the last shot go up. It's a 2 point attempt. And Darcy probably got clobbered from behind there, but we'll go into the halftime break with it 40-41. Townsville down. It was looking a lot scarier with a 10-point deficit, so getting it back to 1 is good. Both teams junking up the defences a little bit. I wasn't sure about Townsville's press, and I wasn't sure about Townsville's zone with the blocking out. Going back to I think it's a packed defence of man-to-man has certainly helped, and the fact we start hitting a couple more shots has helped.
Yeah, that packed defence, you know, if you are struggling a little bit with penetration, it's sort of in there so that you can, the closest man becomes your help. You're not so much relying on that, the weak side or the split line. So I think it's clogged up the key a little bit for the Flames, and obviously down the other end they've become a little bit more free-flowing offensively.
Now, what have we got statistically, Mia? Have we got a fresh update on that? We'll talk through some of them, and then we'll go to a halftime break ourselves.
Interesting to note that early on Brisbane had a lot more scorers on the board, and Townsville probably only had about 3 for a long period of time there, and now, you know, we can see that there's a much more even spread for the Flames, and Brisbane have slowed up a little bit.
Yeah, so we've still got Darcy leading away with 10 points, but Majella Carey came in for 6 off the bench. We've got Ainsley for 6. Again, Mila Goodchild has 6 also, but the one for me is Michaela Cox with only 4 points. She's shooting 2 of 7. The team has increased their stats up to 37%, so still not where we want it to be, but certainly getting better. We're only shooting the free throws at 62% too, so you can bet that Bronwyn Marshall is aware of that and says, hey, she's going to know who to go to. For Brisbane, we definitely saw Amy Lewis step it up a little bit, even though she's only 3 for 9. She has 10 points, and Bethel has 12, but Bethel has a couple of fouls under her belt, so they've had to rest her a little bit. They are shooting at 48%, and they're not missing free throws. They're 10 for 11, so a team we don't want to foul. Boards are pretty even, you know, 3 the difference there. Sorry, I lie. The rebound's 20 to 26, so there are 6 the difference in favour of Townsville. For me, for the rest of the game, I would like to see Townsville continue to, of course, improve their shooting percentage. I'd definitely like to see Townsville defence sharpen up. It's been a little bit ugly all round, and that's just because Brisbane are hustling and getting those plays, hustle plays. But yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see how they come out in the second half.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike's in the change rooms right now addressing that defence. 41 points for the half is way too many. Brisbane are on track to score 80 points. So, you know, for a team that's 11th on the ladder and playing the top spot, you know, that's not what we've expected here tonight. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see if fatigue plays a part for the Brisbane Capitals. Obviously, their main plays have played a fair few minutes at the moment. They're rolling the dice with Bethel. They're keeping her on the floor, even though she's had a few fouls early. But, yeah, I'm sure that the Flames have the fitness to be able to see the game out. And I don't think we'll see Michaela Cox you know, stay this way percentage-wise for too long. So I'll back her up to hit a few more shots.
Yeah, it's unusual. Anyway, we'll go to the halftime break, leaving the score at 40-41. This is Shane Froling, and we have Mia Murray calling the game for you tonight. And we'll see you on the other side. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Townsville Basketball Stadium. We're calling the game between the Brisbane Capitals and the Townsville Flames. I'm Shane Froling and I have Mia Murray, our world famous WNBL Townsville Fire multiple championship player here with us. And we have a scoreline of 40-41 and I'm expecting Townsville to continue to improve this quarter. And we're 45 seconds away from starting this game. What would you expect Coach Mike have said at halftime, Mia?
I think he'll be pushing them to keep the intensity up on the defensive end, just fix a few of those things that we were mentioning, middle penetration, even out of the press, getting back and clogging up that keyway. Yeah, I think they found their groove offensively. It'll just be a matter of fixing up those, tweaking the defense bit. So.
Yeah, and looking at some of the players coming on the floor, I'd expect Woodford, Bethel, and who else have we got out there? Sorry, Amy Lewis and Victoria Eldred. I'd expect Victoria Eldred to be a bit more aggressive for Townsville. It's time for Michaela to step it up and we see the game start. Already look at that defensive pressure up the floor. Nice help by Lisa Brennan there. Again, here we go. Nice pressure by Townsville there. Michaela searching the floor out. And Mila, good child, misses that one. Good to see her put it up without hesitating though.
Lisa Brennan's a really good anchor to have down the bottom of a defence. She talks, she communicates really well, and she reads the game really well as well. So
I was just going to say, Ainsley had a great run there, but Mila was a couple of seconds too late with that and turfs it out of bounds. Should have let it go a step or two earlier. Townsville back into their press, so we'll see if they fix that up since the first half. They look like they have changed again. They're in that press and dropping back into a zone, but if you're going to play a zone, you certainly can't allow the penetration. There was 2 penetration opportunities in that set there, and that one was far too easy with a layup.
Unfortunately for the Flames, the back end of that defensive set broke down for them, but I'm not sure if it was addressed at half-time, but it looks like their help is coming earlier and higher, and it's stopping the penetration from Brisbane from getting in the keyway. Unfortunately, they let one slip there late in that last defensive set.
Yeah, we're seeing Brisbane in a zone also, but it looks like nice backdoor play there by Bethel and a great pass by Amy Lewis. Townsville there were in a man that time. As Ainsley Walsh hits a baseline jumper and brings the scoreline to 42-45.
Michaela Cox getting a bit more involved there with a nice assist out to Ainsley.
Yeah, and picks up the foul. Unfortunately, a little bit of body contact there. She protested at first, but couldn't argue it, I don't think.
No, a bit overzealous there. Mick.
Townsville definitely in a zone there. Cannot let Bethel get that rebound. That's what we talked about earlier. And we've got a trouble. Okay. Townsville ball on the side.
Yeah, they've got to clean up on that glass. If they're going to go into that zone, you've got to find a body. Perhaps someone that you are not matched up to as well.
Woodford aggressively coming after the ball leg, and Carey cleverly steps across and draws a foul. Brisbane in a man. I think they're into a bit of a, 3-second call there. That was rather quick by the famous Tom Jones. I probably wouldn't have called that myself. Darcy looking totally perplexed by it. And Townsville playing man again with a lot of help to the weak side. Woodford with a nice little duck on the baseline and a reverse layup. Wasn't bothered by Darcy at all. Both teams playing a similar junk it up. Sometimes it looks like a 2-3 and then other times it's a collapsing man, as you see Magella throw up an air ball. Unusual for her, not Magella, sorry. Harriet throw up an air ball. Can't do that, the sisters will be coming at me. Geez, Bethel's aggressive. That's a really, really quick spin off that post move, and I'm actually liking what I see in her.
She reads the defense really well, both with the ball and without the ball. She's made a couple of really nice back cuts, and on that time she realised that the defender was a little bit too close for her on the catch, and she just put it straight to the deck.
Yeah, you know, if you've got a team that spent its budget on a lot of its Australian content and needed a cheap player, that she could do quite well. I love the way Michaela brings that ball up the floor. She's just looking all the time, searching things out and directing. So, but again, I'd love to see her more aggressive. So as I say that, I reckon she's about due. Lisa Brennan with a skipping, spinning, whirling shot.
Winding back the clock.
Yes. I think, as I was saying, Michaela's about due to start flipping that switch. I know I've been saying it for over a quarter now, but she's really got to do that. She's one of the superior players in the team, and I'd love to see that.
Idea was there.
Yeah, really good cut by Bethel, but shocker of a pass. See now, you see Lisa shoot that. I would much prefer when Michaela comes off that screen with a step back to see her shoot that. Young Harriet under a lot of pressure here. Dribble, 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 and gets the shot up, drawing the foul. That's persistent. She certainly wasn't troubled by the pressure. She had a confidence out there.
She ran back really well and got the possession back for the Flames. So I think she might have been going for a bit of a heat check there and seeing how far she could take it.
Brisbane back out to the 5-point lead at the moment as we see Harriet shoot the first and make it. Nails the second. Certainly a good player at this level.
Flames are, of course, without Stella Beck, who is away at the moment playing for New Zealand, her home country.
Yep.
Abroad, so you know, she's a little bit more experienced in size on the perimeter, so obviously that would make a little bit of a difference for the Flames down the offensive end.
Absolutely, and another one who gets a large number of rebounds. Oh, we've just had a misread there, you know. It's one of those things. You have some patience, and you think someone's going to do something. It's got to be eye contact, and I always tell people, throw the ball at their head. And it's not to hurt them, it's just whenever you see a ball coming at your head, you're certainly going to have your hands up and you're going to catch it. If you don't, it'll only hit you in the head once.
It's interesting as well with what you can get away with on the offensive end. You can nearly call out back cut and the defense still won't know you're going to back cut. So, yeah, as you said, communication, connect on those passes.
There's Harriet bringing the game to an even scoreline. Great pass, Michaela finds her in the corner. Harriet's got to be on about 8 points now also, I would suggest, hitting 2 threes and another basket.
They may have robbed her of a 3-point shot there earlier. She's only on 5 points.
Okay.
But Michaela Cox getting more involved now. She's up to 3 assists. I think they may have robbed her on the stat sheet for that one as well. I thought she might have a few more.
Yeah. Well, we have noticed that in the rebounding. We've made comment in other games where we've gone, geez, someone's, really, or like Mila Goodchild, it's got to have about 6 boards this half, and then we look at the stats and she's only had 1. So
I always thought that about myself. In WNBL, I was always robbed of assists and points.
Yeah, I've played with a couple of players that if they got the stats wrong, they would video review the game and call the NBL up and say, listen, you're out by 3 or 4. And I guess if you're playing for bonuses on stats, that's you've got a right to do it. Nice pass by Harriet into Darcy. Yeah, I'm going to give Darcy a little bit of a fatigue factor. She's just not her normal self. So when she's like that, put her right on the rim where she's not going to miss.
Yeah, that shot's a bread and butter for her usually. So she'll keep fighting and playing strong defense and rebounding for the team and taking the shots when she can, hopefully putting them in the basket.
Yeah, and Plummer scores there. She's snuck in a couple for them too. So a player that sneaks under the radar. Be interesting to see her and Rebecca Vanderjack play as Darcy nails one. Forget about going to the post, Shane Froling. I'm going to shoot threes. I heard you dogging me out there, so she stuck it in my face. There's Plummer again. She's under the radar, that one.
She was under no pressure whatsoever to shoot that shot.
Oh, there's another aggressive foul. Woodford is not shy in making contact. And we have a timeout. I'm going to have a look over the edge here and see what we have. And Bronwyn Marshall will certainly be addressing the fact that it got back to level, but they've taken another 6-point spread. Again, some little bit of untidiness by Townsville. Townsville has dropped off their pressing a little bit there. They've dropped back into that the switching man or a bit of a man pressure. So
I think we might see the Flames maybe get back into a little bit of full court man-to-man pressure. Not so much a trap, but just a bit of pressure. Full court, on the ball, put the ball handler under a bit of pressure and maybe even force a little bit of fatigue. So they're not coming down, getting in their sets, making life a little bit harder in the full court for them.
I'd also like to see, because Brisbane aren't an overly big team, you might as well just switch everything. Apply as much pressure as you can and switch everything, which is, Brisbane were doing that early in the first quarter and caught Townsville unawares, so let's put it back on them a little bit. Now, I think Mike might be looking to get Darcy a couple of drives, yes, as we go. I could see him drawing up a play trying to get Darcy the ball as she fumbles it.
Looks like he's got her in the 3 spot, actually. She always did say she'd be coming after me on the perimeter.
Yeah, well, I was watching him draw it up, and I saw him have the other 2 bigs there, so it's either Darcy for the 3-pointer or a clear out for her to drive.
Gone very big here, the Flames.
Couple of down screens here. And boom! Carey on the buzzer makes it. 4
Madge has
points
had
spread.
such a good little cameo tonight. You know, she's a high energy player as well, and I can hear her through my headphones communicating. She does that really well, and she really lifts the spirits of the team. She's come in and played excellent tonight.
And that's straight back at him by Diana Neves. As we speak about her, she reaches in and gets a foul. So 7-point spread. Brisbane, you know, they just chipping away, keeping steady. They're not looking like they're outstanding, but geez, they're giving Townsville some grief.
I think I said it in the first quarter. They're not making life easy for the Flames. I mean, even when there's a drive, or you know, they're not letting them catch the ball where they want to. Even when there's a drive, they're fouling them hard. Yeah, giving nothing easy to the Flames.
Now they're in a big zone, hands out, really, really moving. You've got to get out to that shooter. Good job. Boom, there's the miss. Come up with a board. Push it. We have 2 runners. No, we didn't see it, but Michaela's searching it out. That last play, Darcy hit another perimeter shot, so I think what I have to do is dog people each time, and Michaela knocks one down, so if I start giving them a hard time, they might start putting it in my face and we won't have the problem of missing. Really, really big zone here. Good D by Rebecca Vanderjack being long, but there's that offensive board by Bethel. We cannot have that.
Beck Vanderjack does such a good job, and this is going to sound silly, but does a really good job of being tall. You know, she really long arms, and she rarely fouls. She just sort of sticks those long arms up, and tough defender that way.
Yeah, I call it being big, and especially as you see Amy Lewis hit another 3. Townsville were getting right in on them, but they've taken that lead back out to 6. And there's a bad turnover. She's going to have to move here. It's a bad turnover with 30 seconds to go to take the lead out to 8. Yeah, I was talking about being big. I teach players to keep their arms up, and how many players go for that block and sweep their arm across? You need to go for a block. You hit a point up in the air, not go slapping at the ball. But every time a big brings their arms down, there's likely to be a foul.
Yeah, well, it puts the referee in the position that they can call a foul as well, even if you get the ball or not. You know, it's tough to make shots over long arms.
Yeah. So being big, jumping up and blocking at a point certainly reduces the fouls, and I love teaching that to the bigs. We see Michaela cheekily throw it off the backside of number 12 and get a layup with the last second to go. So she's reduced that margin to 6. They were in good shape for a little while there being level, but a couple of sloppy plays has put the lead back in Brisbane's favour. So 1 quarter to go. What are you liking? What are you disliking?
Look, I think the Flames have done a better job. They've stemmed the flow of Brisbane's shooting, I think, but down the other end, they're just offensively, you know, sloppy turnovers, a few bad decisions offensively. However, I still back the Flames to win this. Brisbane, I'm not sure if their luck's going to run out.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I think in the last 5 to 6 minutes, really seen Darcy come alive, hit a couple of threes, gone strong to the rim. And then in the last 2 minutes, Michaela. So if Michaela joins the ride and Darcy comes on board, then all we need is some great support role by one of the Carey girls, and Lisa Brennan's been having an aggressive game too, so they can overrun them. But you know, Brisbane right now have been playing comfortable, and again, I put that down to the coaching. The coaching's been really smart tonight. So 30 seconds ago until we start this thing, I've seen the great Arthur Newley.
Speaking of being big, he does a great job of being big.
Walk in the door. I can remember in the early days when Brad Newley rolled up to Townsville, and Arthur was right there behind him. And of course, your brother being a young lad there, he got in a bit of a dust up with one of the boys, and the boys clobbered him. And I stepped in and said, "Hey, no belting the young boys, so he's never forgotten that. And Arthur said, thanks for standing up for the young pup, so good to see Dad in town. He's obviously visiting.
Yeah, Brad wasn't blessed with Dad's thickness. You would just say that. I think Dad was handy at throwing a few elbows or two in his time and holding his own. So
a player of my liking. Luckily, he wasn't of that thickness, Brad, because he wouldn't be the athlete that he is.
No, absolutely not.
And you see a big zone again by Townsville, but Brisbane moved the ball very well, get in the centre, and there's a baseline sneak by the big Eldred. Brisbane are in a man here, really aggressive, trying to get into the lanes. Good help from the weak side, and Townsville need to move that ball quicker if they're going to punish that. Michaela Cox puts up the 3. Aldred does a great job of blocking Darcy out. Boom! Right at it, running it down Townsville's throat. Michaela had a hand on that, so that's a good shot.
Brisbane
to get over
very confident.
They do, don't they?
Brilliant punch screen there by Darcy. As I said, that's one of her favourite moves, and obviously they've got that connection playing for the Townsville Fire. And Michaela came off that really nicely.
The referee's allowing Lisa Brennan and Eldred get tied up and letting it go. It was all ugly and a distraction, but that created the layup. Lisa Brennan drives in, gets a foul. She's frustrated, throws the ball at Woodford. Only at her legs, so nothing too dramatic. But again, just for my liking, Darcy sets a really nice screen. They're a little bit slow to roll. I want to see her get the ball a lot more because she really came alive in that third quarter. So, in saying that, Lisa hits the free throw.
I'd like to see the Flames to use a little bit more of the floor. It's a couple of possessions in a row where they've just stayed on this right-hand side. They really need to make Brisbane move. At the moment, Brisbane are able to just sit there and guard them fairly easily. So down the other end, Brisbane are doing a great job of moving the ball, sharing it around, making the extra pass.
Boom. She has come to life. And Michaela Cox has been in her face twice, and Diana Neves hasn't let that bother her. She's hit two tough shots. Here we go with Darcy, strong in the post. Aldred up to it being physical. Darcy really wants a call on that, but I'm good with the bigs bashing each other like that. No call. Another good little duck in by Lisa. Michaela finds her and she gets 2 with the bonus. We have a 10-point spread right now.
Neves is up to 13. She's been really instrumental in this little breakaway for Brisbane.
Yeah, and again, I can't fault Michaela. Michaela's had a hand in her face twice, and she's launched it. They certainly have studied this press, but Townsville are doing much better this time. If they beat it, they're not getting penetration as I say that. She drives straight to the basket and luckily misses. So the last 2 defensive sets, they didn't allow that to happen, as we see Eldred get another foul and she'll take a sub.
Been a bit of an anchor in their defence, Aldridge. Physical body down low, making it frustrating for Townsville's bigs.
Married to Murray Eldred, who I used to work with at the Queensland Academy of Sport. He was a Southern coach and he had quite a successful year. So, a long-time relationship worked well there. There's Darcy with 3, not on today. Now, if Darcy's going to be out there shooting that, I need 2 other people crashing those boards, because taking Darcy out of that rebounding competition and being such a good 3-point shooter, someone needs to compensate for that. And definitely a foul there on Lisa. She's done a good job in trying to contain Bethel there tonight. A couple of times she's worn it right on the chest, but she just didn't need that reach in there.
Lisa is able to move her feet quite well. She's, as I said, she reads players quite well, and yeah, unfortunately, just hand caught in the lolly jar there. She just couldn't help herself. So
now, Townsville are going to have to get a wiggle on here because they are 9 points down. There's only 7.5 minutes to go. As Bethel takes a baseline shot.
the Flames haven't really been able to get going with their transition buckets either, pushing the ball up the floor, which is what they're known for, forcing turnovers and making teams pay at the other end. Brisbane have done a really good job of slowing them down in the half court.
Yeah, I'd agree. You're on the money with that because, again, I talk about Michaela. You can see her searching things out. You watch her eyes, I've talked about a few times, but whereas she's usually splashing them out everywhere, not tonight. Brisbane are well prepared. Carla Cox takes care of both of those free throws. Back into that press. We come up with it. Darcy in with a long reach there. And, ooh, nearly blocked from behind, but kicks it off. Neil, a good child, finds Michaela Cox, who misses, unfortunately.
Just haven't been able to make Brisbane pay when they force a turnover tonight.
As we see a screen and roll, and there's another foul on Lisa Brennan. Probably a bit unlucky on that one, but again, there's that. You bring the arms down, you give the referees a chance to blow it. Be big, go for that ball at a point in the air. Again, Bethel, great screen to the basket, takes the contact. I really like her as a player.
A pretty well all-rounded game. Bethel, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. So sort of chugging along quite nicely. They've had a lot of contributors to this game, Brisbane Capitals.
Brisbane sitting comfortable with a 10-point lead there. And Michaela misses another one. Darcy, great rebound. That's what we like to see. Michaela going straight back at him. Townsville really trying to pressure the ball up the floor, trying to get something going.
It'll be interesting to see if Brisbane look to exploit Mila Goodchild out on the perimeter. She is playing with 4 fouls,
Yep.
But I think St. Maurice is in the predicament of having to roll the dice with her.
Yep. Again, really good screen by Darcy there. And Michaela finding the basket, counting it, making one there. The shot before, Woodford shoots a 3 and it rattles in. Gosh, that was flat. But they're not missing a whole lot from the three-point line tonight, Brisbane are. What's their percentage there?
They're up to 47% from the three-point line after being very lean in that category in the first quarter. However, when you get into the middle, you penetrate middle and you're laying the ball up freely in offense, all of a sudden, you have to collapse in defensively and able to kick the ball out, and they've been able to hit those shots.
Townsville really helping down. I like that. I really like the way they got into the defence there, and some great help on the weak side, sort of pack lining it in.
Brisbane without Neves on the court now. They, that extra perimeter shooter short out there. So we'll see how long she spends on the bench, and we've just said that she's back in.
Taking Bethel off now for Plummer is an interesting one. I probably would have let Bethel out there, but obviously Plummer's done a really good job, but I guess my point is more, I'd be interested to see Plummer and Bethel go together. That would be something to deal with. Brisbane running a really good on-ball screen there and cutting the passing guard through off a double weak side. Geez, they get some good results if they could move that ball out to that double weak side, because there's no one guarding them, as we see Michaela drop it into Darcy with a little lazy underarm shot there. It got blocked. Michaela finds Ainsley Walsh for a long three, comes off the corner of the backboard. Lisa Brennan doing the hard work. She's pulled about 3 balls in this series. Michaela pulls up for a 3. That's an unlucky one for Ainsley Walsh. Really aggressive at the boards, but again, Townsville shooting up about five shots in that series and making nothing. So our percentage has got to be going down again. Darcy clearly a little frustrated, feeling she's being fouled and the referee's not given to him.
That's the way they've called it all game. They really haven't, called that. So, just have to keep battling away and be a bit more poised and finish that shot.
And as a player, I've always liked that physical, let them play type of game. So no problem at all tonight with the refereeing. I think what's really hurt Townsville so far has been their defence. They've allowed too many drives, too many rebounds, only patches where they've put pressure on the floor, pressure up on the floor, and it's shown with the lead. Again, Darcy being a bit underdone with all her travel, but in saying that, she has had a couple of spurts this quarter, and Michaela's starting to come alive. Still can't close that gap.
Yeah, it's. I think Townsville's still struggling to find a 5 that is going to work well together. They're sort of having a couple of players, pop up in patches. They still haven't found 5 players that have been able to really put it all together at the same time. But they've gone back to their starters now, and hopefully the players that they can close out this game with and get them over the line.
See Neve back in. There she comes off that double screen I was talking about. And if you deal with that too well, then one of the posts will be open. As you see Amy Lewis, don't even worry about the double. She just spun in and threw a flipper off the backboard.
I'm not sure how much more Ainsley could have done defensively there. She stayed in front of her, forced up a tough shot, and Amy, all class, she was able to finish that.
And see, look at that. That's a perfect little drive layup. No one on you. Missed the layup. That's so out of character for us to be missing uncontested layups.
Brisbane in the bonus now, so Flames should look to exploit that and look to put it on the floor when they can get some cheap ones from the free throw line. Hopefully they make them pay from there.
Well, with 3 minutes 51 to go and you're 10 down, let's call it 9 down now, I would think it's 3 minutes 51 of just full court pressure the heck out of whoever you can, create as much grief as you can. That in itself brings some risk, because if you have 4 players behind the ball like this, you end up giving layups away. Thankfully, Plummer misses. As we see Bethel back in the play, and I get my wish, Plummer and Bethel together. Nice defence by Amy Lewis. Good pass into Darcy. She's been looking for fouls. There is the foul she wants. And that's exactly what you want to do as a coach. Get it into your guns. For me now, Michaela's been really, really good at penetrating. She's not hitting tonight, so hey, keep penetrating. Darcy, let's get her in and get some buckets for her around the paint. Once they wake up to that, then sure, put Darcy in the pick and roll situation or the pick and pop situation. Wow. Darcy makes one of the two. The second one looked ugly as well. 7-point ball game. Okay, a little inverted set there, and the shot goes up on the baseline. Amy Lewis, and straight back into pressure. Luckily we get it across. Good child for three. Money. All right, here we go. 6-point ball game, 3 minutes to go.
The problem for the Flames is that they're not really, you can't tell who's going to score for the Caps. They're all really aggressive, and they're playing with such confidence.
But again, I think that reflects on the defence. The defence hasn't been great tonight. I mean, that's too easy. Like, we're lucky Brisbane are missing those shots, but they've had far too many easy penetrations.
Bethel, good job of recognising that she had the smaller player on her, but Mila's also got 4 fouls. Just went straight past her.
Yep. Bethel just throws that up. She's yelling for the foul, but that was not a foul. And then on the flip side, Lisa wants the hooking, so both of them unhappy there.
Woodford was relentless on that offensive rebound as well and knocked it out of court, but again, it makes the Flames bring the ball up slowly. Now we see...
and there's Michaela getting to the hoop. 4-point ball game. Really good help weak side, but I can see good steal by Michaela Cox. She's about to take over this game. With that aggression, they've got to make sure they have the weak side covered. Good child for another 3. Pass from Darcy. Here they go. 1-point ball game.
That's what I was waiting for. Mila's just hit one. She can go again. They found a great teamwork by the Flames.
Bronwyn Marshall doesn't like it, so she's going to take a timeout. She'll stop the attack, and she's been successful with that tonight. Every time they've made a run or got level, she's called a timeout, and she's got their team back to a 6-point lead. So we'll see if she can play her magic again. On the other hand, Townsville are applying that pressure. They've been very, very lucky that Brisbane have missed some easy baskets, but sometimes it goes for you. So they're really going to have to keep playing that defence with great help weak side. If they give too much help, I see Brisbane setting up that weak side shooter. So it's a matter of hoping they miss if they do get it to them.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of fatigue set in just then, going to that timeout as well. You know, the ball gets stripped out of her hand and miss a bit of a bunny there in the full court out of that trap. Be interesting to see what the Flames come out of this timeout with, what sort of a defence they're going to go in. And down the other end, will they look for Mila again for that a 3-point shot? They're going to try and roll off the back of that or go straight back inside to Darcy.
Yeah, look, Michaela's been great at getting to the rim too for the last few minutes, and I still want to see that, because the minute you do that, she draws so many defenders, and she's so good at finding the open player or scoring. Big pressure by Michaela. Good help on the weak side, but you look at that weak side spot up shooter ready. Amy searching for Bethel into the big, who goes over Lisa Brennan to score. Michaela searching, nice screen by Darcy. There's that penetration, tough shot. Who's cleaning it up? Lisa Brennan, and Darcy straight up for 2. There's the bigs on the boards that I like to see. 1-point ball game. Michaela Cox totally concentrating on Neve and Lewis. There's a switch down on that baseline. They're well aware of those 2 shooters. Darcy almost intercepts it. No time on the shot clock. That's a violation.
Great defensive pressure from the Flames. Forced a violation. Everyone's active. Darcy shooting the lanes there as well. They've ramped it up. The intensity's gone up. They've left it to the last minute to do that.
Yeah. And you can see Michaela Cox really concentrating on Neve. She's not going to give her anything. As Lisa Brennan drives, overemphasise the foul. I thought she should have just gone to the hoop, made the layup. She played for the foul, but we'll take the 2 shots. 46 seconds to go. We have a 1-point ball game.
Lisa's great at that. She's able to show the shot and she's just rips it hard on that right-hand side, a favoured right-hand side. She's been able to do that for a long time in her career, and you know, let's see what she does next. She'll look to put on the floor, and she can certainly shape up from the floor as well.
Yeah, been a very, very solid player for a long time, so good to see her still contributing. I'm sure her husband's in the stadium or at home somewhere admiring her game. She is probably the better of the two, I would guess. As the score is level with 40 seconds to go. Michaela comes in to help as Bethel rolls it in. Timeout, 28 seconds to go. That was a tough shot. And Bethel's taken a hit to the hip, but Michaela Cox really, really concentrating on Neve there. Sees Bethel driving, tries to help, but to no avail.
That was a really good no call from the refs too. I think, you know, they've allowed them to play physically. Michaela probably a little bit late on that charge call, but it was just contact. So, you know, they allowed the shot to go in, and yeah, we'll see what happens out of this timeout, see what the Flames can respond with.
So with 29 seconds to go, we definitely need 2 shots to win it. We could win it with a 3, but that'd be highly risky. So I'd be planning on getting Michaela to the hoop aggressively. I'd be planning on Darcy then getting in on the screening and getting into rebounding position, or getting fed by Michaela. I'd also love to see Neela spot up, because when Michaela penetrates, you can bet they're all going to collapse. As soon as that shot goes up, we got to crash the boards. It's got to be in the first 10 seconds, and if we don't get a score, we're going to have to go into fouler.
Yeah, they certainly have to go quick here and you know, rely on their defence, which they've ramped it up these last couple of minutes, Townsville.
So I'm expecting a down screen on the strong side and up screen on the weak side. No, we're getting straight into Michaela. Oh, nice back door. Great play.
Michaela Cox's favourite play, I have to tell you that one. That's the New Zealand national team's back cut play. They score out of that all the time, and it just catches that player on that weak side napping. Michaela goes to drive one way, does a backspin, and then you see the back cut on the other side.
Oh, great result. Great result. I would expect that Bronwyn may take a timeout here, as we made both. And the score is 88 all, and Bronwyn Marshall will talk about it. Now, what's Bronwyn going to do? I would, you know, I thought we were going to Michaela and Darcy, but no. Michaela had other ideas, and it's worked for them. So I would expect Amy Lewis and Bethel to be involved in this. So let's see where that goes. If they make the basket, we have to, again, get that thing down as quickly as possible. And we've got a timeout in the bag. So we need to get you know, maybe another backdoor play. See if they wake up to it twice.
I'm not sure if there is another component to that play, actually. Whether they then have, if the back tut's not on, whether there is another action that happens after that.
Now, of course, any fouls result in free throws, so neither team can foul right now. And we're in for a ball game. Can the Flames pull it out of the bag after being so ugly all night? Not a normal game for Michaela Cox or Neela Goodchild. Michaela's come good towards the end, but it's not her normal full game. And again, Darcy's probably a far better percentage shooter than she's shown. So good job to be at level scores.
Here we go.
Amy Lewis comes off. Bethel has the ball. She's going to wind it right down.
Here we go. Get those feet moving, Lisa.
Switching here, I would be definitely switching if I have to. Good switch. Tough spin. And Darcy has it. Get the shot up, Michaela.
Oh.
Left-hand flip. We're going overtime. Really good switch in that situation with Bethel coming off that screen. So that forced a shot up. Michaela going for non-preferred left hand, but overtime, I'm going to give it to the Flames. You know, they've woken up in this last quarter, and the way Michaela's been as aggressive, and when I say aggressive, I mean both driving to the basket and throwing those assertive passes. I reckon the Flames can do this in overtime.
Yeah, I certainly think that too. I think they've got all the momentum going into this overtime. Perhaps Brisbane running out of legs. They just held on there, so yeah, hopefully the girls can hang on and continue with that momentum in this overtime here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the 5 minutes where they're using that pressure up the floor, which has worked for them. I certainly don't expect to see the zone. It slowed the scoring down a little bit for them, but it got ugly. There was no blocking out. So, yeah, we are about to find out.
That's what the Flames need to recognise. If they can get all 5 of their players playing with that defensive intensity, force Brisbane into some tougher shots. Obviously, they were making some of those shots, but eventually it wears you down. If you're having to make tough shots, possession in, possession out, eventually your luck runs out. So
I wouldn't mind seeing in this 5 minutes some of Harriet Carey in there, because she can hit the three, even though she's thrown a couple of air balls up tonight. As Neela drives and makes one, need her to come alive, so that gives the Flames a lead. But I was just saying, I'd love to see Harriet, because you know, if someone like Ainsley needs a break, she's someone who can come in and capably hit a shot. Amy Lewis forces one up.
Tough shot. Great defense by Ainsley.
Kayla Cox gets it to Ainsley Walsh, who forces one up. Player was far too big for her. So a baseline out of bounds play, and we have 6 seconds on the shot clock.
May have gone back to Darcy on the pick and pop on that one.
Tom Jones is unhappy with a shot clock or something again, so.
The Caps look like they are switching everything as well, so if the
Yep.
Flames can exploit that and make sure their bigs roll down, and guards be patient, let their bigs make a seal underneath there and go at them.
Again, I don't think it's a horrible strategy, switching, because there's no one that's really monstrous size in there. You know, Darcy's the biggest, but referee's in deep discussion here to sort out what's going on. Six seconds go on the shot clock as Michaela is the inbounder. Very smart, hits Neela. Michaela drives hard, kicks it to Darcy for three, and it's good. Who said anything about fatigue?
Doesn't matter what happened before that. You hit the ones that matter.
Someone might have put something in her drink at halftime.
Michael Jordan special stuff, maybe.
Yes. Brisbane looking really rattled here at the moment. They're forcing up shots, but if you allow them to get the offensive rebounds, that's not going to be good for you.
Townsville's intensity is through the roof. This is what we've wanted all game. They are hustling. They've just got to clean up that glass, as you said.
Just watching that inbounds, I'm amazed as you see a three-pointer for Brisbane go, taking it to. I'm amazed how many people are not aware of the ball. They just look at their man and I think, gosh, see the man, see the ball. Darcy has a look at the three, kicks out to Michaela. Good child. If that goes, she's come to life. Boom, there it is. Certainly helps when someone who's been quiet comes to life in the overtime. Another three by number 12. She banks it. They're not going to go away. Emma Reid knocks in 2 threes in overtime.
She has not missed a shot this game. She's 100% from the field. Probably an unlikely person to be stepping up in this overtime as well.
Absolutely. Darcy for another three. Not successful that time. Mila Goodchild, offensive board, and absolutely got slapped on that drive.
They had to respect her on that three-point shot. She was able to just put it on the deck and get to the line. I know she's been working really hard on her outside game as well, her outside shooting, which is probably something they identified. They needed her to step up in that aspect of their game.
And Mila doing what, you know, she's done all year, crashing the boards. 4-point lead with 50 seconds to go. Townsville putting that up the floor pressure on. Oh, and they throw it out of bounds. Brisbane can be really upset about this. You know, they've led the whole game comfortably, and in the overtime, they just let it go.
That was an absolutely unforced error as well. Not too much pressure there.
That was reminiscent of Townsville doing it 3 times during the game, and Brisbane do it at crunch time. Oh, fantastic feed. Lisa Brennan lets them have a chance though, missing that layup. Again, poor defense allows number 12, Emma Reid, drive all the way to the basket. The defense leaves its feet. And if she scores both, we have a 2-point game with Townsville having the last shot of the game unless Brisbane foul her.
Bit of an unlikely hero for Brisbane. Emma Reid. She's put some nice moves in this overtime, keeping their heartbeat going.
All right, so if she makes this, they're 2 down. Townsville can waste time. And Brisbane are going to have to foul them. So that puts them on the line for 2. So I'm sure that Brum will be talking about who to foul, who not to let have the ball. And Townsville on the flip side, I'm sure will be going to their best foul shooters.
Well, Townsville's free throw percentage has gone up since we last spoke about it actually. They were not where they wanted to be, and all of those players on the floor for Townsville at the moment are great free throw shooters. So it's going to be a bit of a predicament for Brisbane who to choose. But as you said, they're going to have to go fairly quickly. You don't want too much time to run off the clock because that gives you less time going back down the other end.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see the quick backdoor play. I'm sure that Mike will be trying to waste time, but then you've got to play hot potato and move that ball around without getting fouled. So Brisbane will be on it pretty quick, I would think.
Funny things happen when you're under pressure and you've just got to simply keep the ball away from the defence. So, you know, the Flames need to shorten the passes, run through the ball, make the safest pass. If you can't get rid of it, just hang on to it, wear the foul, make the free throws.
Switch everything, don't let Neve or Lewis have the ball. Be very, all pressure, I'm talking the wrong side there. That's too easy. And no foul. I'm surprised they haven't fouled. Someone needs to foul her. They're out of this game if they don't foul. Wow, they're allowing too much time off the clock. This is Michaela Cox at her best. They were asleep. They've just let 12 seconds go off.
I think they may have tried to go for a steal.
Yeah, there's no way.
They ran out of time.
21 seconds.
Stopped the clock.
You know, I'm talking about Townsville playing defence. I'm on the wrong page, but they're even worse. They're on the wrong page, not fouling for 14 seconds. It's now a 3-point game. 4-point game. It's over. And Brisbane can be really disappointed with this loss. Brisbane can be really, really disappointed with that loss. They controlled the whole game and just fell over in overtime. For me, Darcy, again, big game, slow start, not the most accurate. Did a great job. Michaela and Patches, really, really good game. And, you know, even the support of the two Carey girls, again, coming on and doing a great job. Lisa Brennan was a strong player tonight, making some good moves, covering well on defence, and Townsville get away with that one with 100-96.
Yeah, really, I'm impressed by the Flames, the way they fought through it though. You know, it was looking pretty dangerous getting towards the back end of that fourth quarter. You know, that 10-point deficit, they were able to cut that down pretty quickly. They just lifted their intensity on the defensive end, and Mila, who was in foul trouble, she lit it up late in that game as well. I was really impressed by Darcy. She just fought through it. You know, obviously not the greatest shooting game, but you know, I'm confident that that will get better for her going into finals. And yeah, as you said, a little bit of fatigue perhaps from Opal's commitments, but yeah, Brisbane Capitals, you'd have to be very disappointed for leading that for that long and getting pipped at the post like that. So.
Yeah, statistically, Townsville end up with 38% field goal percentage, so that is an improvement on what they were doing. Their free throw shooting jumped up to 82, so they certainly sharpened that up, and 59 rebounds in total. You bet.